hate my job, I spend 70 hours a week working and studying, and I'm studying for a degree I see no point in. This is a story of how I completely changed my life, how I learned to code, and how I found my first developer job. I'll tell you how much money I eventually made and what it cost me. Let's go. Before I got into tech, I worked as a mechanical design engineer. At the same time, I was studying at university. I looked at programming as a huge pile of money I didn't have, because we all know how much developers make.
Approximately 120k.
275 to 300k.
Over 115,000.
I started Googling. I learned what programming languages exist and what they were used for. I started learning Java on YouTube. Also, I bought a new 40-inch laptop on credit because I want to study on my way to university or work. I studied on my weekend, between my university classes, and a bit later instead of my university classes. I think programming took over all my free time. After 1 month, I realized I had started completely wrong. I didn't understand what I need to learn or why I need to learn it. So I went back to Google, I spent an entire week just researching, and then I found YouTube courses on everything I need. Java, the programming language itself. Spring, a set of tools for building large Java application. Hibernate, a tool that connects Java application to databases. SQL, a language used to read and change data inside the database. Git, a system that tracks every change in your code and allows developers to work together. And Kafka, a system that moves huge amounts of data between different applications. And then I created a learning plan, and I made a really hard decision. I cut my work hours, I stopped going to university, I gave everything I had to coding. But learning how to code wasn't enough. I also had to understand algorithms, and most important, I needed real experience. I started looking for developers working on their own side project, and I found them pretty quickly, to be honest. We were building software for driving school. It was an exam simulator. By the way, we never launched it, just like 99% of all other startups. But I saw how real developers wrote code. I learned how to work with Git as a part of team. I saw how developers discuss architecture, how the entire system should be built, and most important, real developers regularly reviewed my code. They showed me my mistakes, they explained me what I was doing wrong. That experience was worth more than another 100 hours of courses. Because courses don't tell you when your code is shit. Real developers do, and this is the most important part of education. Find the right mentor. Find someone who is willing to guide you through the whole journey. Someone who will review your work and correct your mistakes. Who will stop you from wasting time learning useless crap. I left the startup project and started creating bots for social networks. At that point, according to my plan, I had to start preparing for job interviews. And it turned out that preparing for an interview was almost harder than learning how to code. So 2 weeks later, I had memorized every question, like I was preparing for an university exam. Then I started looking for a job. I applied to job openings, I messaged recruiters directly, and I totally failed. Not a single reply. I realized I needed to change my strategy. So I started calling to large industrial companies. Companies that had nothing to do with software development. But I knew they had two internal IT departments, and I also knew that their requirements would be much lower. So only 1 week of searching, I got invited to an interview. We talked for only 20 minutes, then we shook our hands, and I walked out with a job offer. Then came the work. A lot of fucking work. Every year I literally doubled my efforts, and every year my salary doubled. I worked my ass off. At my peak I made $110,000 a year after taxes, or as Americans like to say, $170,000 every year. Choose a direction, not a programming language, a direction. Then find a learning plan. Give you step deadline. Deadlines matter. They keep you disciplined and they stop you from quitting halfway through. Spend some time building the plan, but don't overthink it. Once you understand the basics, find a mentor. People who can give you tasks at your level, who can review your code and tell you what to learn next. Just start looking for them. According to a 2024 Stack Overflow developer survey, 68% of developers code outside work as a hobby. Start preparing for interviews as early as possible. The moment you think, okay, I actually handle tasks on this project, Start preparing. Because interview preparation can be harder than the actual fucking job. Once you've gone through the interview questions and answers at least once, start looking for work. Maybe you will fail. Fine. Study your mistakes, fix them, and try it again. That's the entire secret. Constant, repetitive, boring work. It is free, take as much as you can handle. This works. Not everyone will get this quickly. But the door into tech is still open. It is open when I started, it is open now, and it will stay open. But you need to make a massive effort. You need to sacrifice your personal time, sometimes even your personal life. Because average effort gets an average result. If you wanted an extraordinary life, put extraordinary work.